Hi, I'm Sean Dougherty, and I'm here in downtown San Jose for my campaign kickoff.
So Sean's been coming to a lot of the things we've been doing since January 16th, when the Moss Landing Battery Energy Storage System facility basically burned to the ground. There's a lot more batteries there, but the main facility, which was 300 megawatts, burned up. Now, some of you guys might have heard about this, right? I mean, it was on the news. And basically, it started on Thursday. On Monday, a bunch of people came out and said the fire was out and everything's okay. So it was a fire, right? Just another fire. They happen. Problem is, there's a lot of stuff in those batteries that's pretty bad. Really bad. And the Monday after the fire started, a group of us citizens just got together, and one of us, Tanya, said, I want to get the community together because there's a lot of concern about what just happened. So over in sunny little Prunedale, over off of 101 north of Salinas, we met at the Grange, and 200 people showed up, 700 more were online, and I offered to facilitate because I'd done that. And I kind of figured that people would show up be pretty pissed and pretty upset, and pretty afraid of what was going on because the fire was still burning. And we thought, well, what if we could shift the energy a little bit towards trying to get involved in a dialogue about what we want to do about it. So that's what we did. And as a facilitator, I helped facilitate that. So I use graphic facilitation tools. I write everything on the wall. Everybody's literally on the same page. I then take it home. I translate it all onto digital copy, send it out to everybody. Well, also during that time, my wife Angie started a Facebook group called the Moss Landing Vista Fire Symptoms Group. And she started on Saturday morning after the fire started, 2 days, and there's over 4,000 people there now. So kind of the question is why, right? Well, first off, a week after, on Thursday, before the rains came in, I looked around and said, I don't see anybody testing what came out of that fire, because we were already starting to get kind of sick. I don't know what we were breathing in, right? And so, dumb luck, an environmental hygienist reached out to me that very same day and said, how can I help? And I said, how do we find out what came out of this plant? I said, well, we use these things called ghost wipes. We'll wipe surfaces. Well, we need people to do it. So we went to our social media and to the emails we'd already collected, and we said, do you want to take samples? And we ended up taking 124 samples between Davenport on the coast, Carmel Valley, and Hollister. One person went all the way up to Fremont for us. It was wild. And those 124 samples showed that there was an enormous elevation in heavy metals. Four in particular we tested for: lithium, cobalt, manganese, and nickel. If those sound kind of gross, they are. And what made it really bad is that we found out since that this fire burned at incredibly high temperatures, because you got to picture that these are massive battery racks and shipping containers in a gigantic building that used to house the turbines there. And when these things burn, you can't put them out. They generate their own oxygen. You could fire a Tesla into space, pop the battery, and it's going to burn in space, right? That's what these things do. So these enormous number of batteries, just to put it in perspective, one cell is like a AA battery. It's not shaped like it, but it's equivalent. There are over 4.5 million of those kinds of things inside this building. But basically almost all burned out. And there's all kinds of really bad stuff in there. Like I said, these metals are there, but the problem is that it burned so hot, it literally vaporized what was in those. Now, we're not just talking about metals. There's also copper, and there's PFAS, and dioxins, and forever chemicals, all that gross stuff we hear about all the time. And that was all turned into a mist that went over a very large area. And that's what our metal testing showed, kind of like canary in the coal mine. Mm-hmm. Hey, if this is here, everything else was here, right? So, guess what it comes down to? A lot of people got really sick. My wife included. I started to get sick. We abandoned our house on January 28th. We have a 7-year-old son. I'm lucky I'm an old daddy. And we went and got Airbnbs over on the peninsula, Monterey Peninsula. And I always say, we're lucky we got out. I ended up buying a house over near the ocean. You know, we were able to escape. But there are hundreds of people there who couldn't. This is a community, Royal Oaks, Prunedale area, Castroville, a lot of farm workers, of course, There's this amazing picture of a guy in a tractor and the fires in the background. I mean, the farm community got that Friday off, and we're back in the fields on Saturday. Okay. But also retirees, vets, people with livestock, people on fixed incomes, they're there. Now, it's weird because a lot of people haven't heard about this, and there's a reason for that. If you were healthy while you were inhaling this incredibly toxic mix of stuff, you might have felt like you had a cold. And I've talked to a lot of people who said they felt like maybe they had a cold in the winter. And you were told the fire went out, so I had a cold. Our family had a cold. We all got a cold. Buddy of mine, doctor, we all got a cold. He now knows better. But if you had pre-existing conditions, or bronchial issues, or immuno issues, you got clobbered. So this cloud went out over a huge area, up into Santa Cruz, over into San Juan Bautista area, down into Salinas, but especially where we were. And a lot of people got really sick. And if you go to that Moss Landing Vistra fire symptoms group, you'll see thousands of entries, hundreds of people. So I've been trying to figure out what's going on because I'm involved in Never Again. Kind of the emails drop on my desktop, the website's there, I manage it, among other things. I've talked to a lot of people. I'm kind of a node. I try and connect ideas and people and what things mean. So here's what I've learned. This is an obscenely profitable industry. Obscenely. I can't overemphasize the word of that word. And the problem is that our government authorities to date have largely set aside the protection of health, safety, and welfare, which when you think about it, is really what government's about. When you boil it all down, we want our government to be there to protect us, okay? And they've done it because, as I am, we're very committed to decarbonization. I don't know about everybody here, I'm not gonna speak for everybody else. I would like to see us decarbonize. So we're using these battery systems to do it because during the day, what's happening is corporations are buying the power from our rooftops and other places for pennies on the dollar because it's an open market. We're making more of it than we can use, and then they store it in these giant facilities, and then at night they sell it back to us for dollars on the penny, and we're paying for all of it. Okay, that's the racket. But the problem is that because we're so committed to this goal of complete decarbonization by 2045, our authorities have set aside regulation of these incredibly, incredibly dangerous technologies. There are some people who say that all of it's bad. I'm not there, but the batteries, for sure, we have proof, are really bad. And all those people I was talking about who thought they had a cold, all of us now who are exposed to this have a loaded gun next to our heads. I say this to people. And it's Russian roulette, because some people are going to get really sick from this. We inhaled it, it's there, it's in us. Our environment, it's there. This stuff's not going away, okay? We just got dioxin testing. I saw the results for the first time 3 days ago. They're not horrible, they're not great. There's some big elevated numbers there. Back to those numbers real quick. Normally the environment looks like the baseline for these metals I mentioned is between 1/2 and 5 parts per billion. We saw as much as 690 parts per billion. That's on the surface afterwards, so that means that was in the air. Will it kill you? We don't know, but it looks like it's pretty bad for people and for creatures. I'm here because Sean's been involved in this from the very beginning. He's come to a lot of things that we've done as a community. He's taken an interest in it. Leon Panetta really hasn't. You know, I think he's doing some stuff behind the scenes, but we've been trying to get our state senator, John Laird, and Leon Panetta, and other people to just show up and talk to us. To hear the pain that's happened in our community and the damages, and they won't. And that bugs me. Being nice here, that bugs me, right? And you know, and Sean has. So I'm here supporting Sean today by speaking to tell you what's happened, and you can go to our website, neveragainmosslanding.org, and you'll learn a lot. And there'll be more there as time goes by. And a lot of what we've learned isn't there because I don't have time to get it up on the website. But Sean's been there, and he cares about these things. He's real. And I think that's what we need. We need people who start to reconnect with us because they're us. You know, and Jimmy is the son of what I thought was a pretty good congressman and administrator. But he seems to, I'm sure he's doing some stuff, but he doesn't seem to be present. And I wish he was, because we need help, and I appreciate that Sean is. So I think I've used up 10 minutes. Thank you.
You reached out, and when I was told by Tiffany, who we both know from CJ, that you were interested in having someone at your event to talk about something that I've been working on for years, something that's long overdue, as Ashley said, and something that is going to happen. I was honored, so thank you, and I'm looking forward to when you're elected. When you are elected, I'm looking forward to working with you to make some of these things happen at the national and the federal level. Real quick, I want to say one thing too. The gentleman who was just speaking also, so part of what I do, I work on reparations, but I also work with folks who are formerly incarcerated who are fighting fires right now. And so I also want to lift up the fact that I'm not sure if the fire that you were talking about, there were folks who were formerly incarcerated fighting those fires, but there are many fires where there are folks who are formerly incarcerated fighting those fires, and so I don't want to miss an opportunity to lift those folks up, because I work with those folks, and many of them are young kids, 25, 24, 23, 22-year-old kids fighting the fires every single day, or when there are fires. And there's two bills that I want to talk about real quick, Senate Bill 245 and Senate Bill 247 in the Capitol right now that are specifically geared to those who are fighting fires while they are incarcerated. So that's Senate Bill 245 and 247. Okay, I'm here to talk about reparations. Okay. So what I'm going to do is three things in the time that I have left. I'm going to talk about where we are now, how we got here, and where we're going. Okay. So where we are now, how we got here, and where we're going. How does that sound? Sound good? Okay, all right. So where are we right now? If you can, we are actually two places in once right now. So if you can, just stop what you're doing. If you got the camera out, please keep the camera up. Eating, keep eating. All right. But if you can, stop what you're doing and listen to the next word I'm about to say. So every single one of you, every single one of us is living inside of a history book right now. People are going to be reading, writing, talking about what you did, what I did now, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now. That is because, to the question, where are we right now? We are closer to reparations in California than we've ever been. Closer to reparations in California, specifically, exclusively, than we've ever been. That's the first place that we are. But we're also in year 2 of, or let me say it this way. So this is the second year here in California where for 2 years now, bills have been introduced in the state capitol that are targeting reparations, and specifically targeting the population we call ourselves as American freedmen. American freedmen is a way to describe the people whose ancestors were emancipated from chattel slavery in this country. So if your ancestors were emancipated from chattel slavery in this country, you and I, we inherited the legal status and the political status we call American freedmen. So American freedmen is just another way to describe people whose ancestors were enslaved and then emancipated in this country. So this is year 2, and there are right now something like between 5 and maybe 8 different bills moving at the state level targeting this particular group of residents. This is the second year, as I mentioned. Last year there was something like 18 different bills moving at the state level targeting this group of residents. And these 2 years are the first time in California's history there's ever been any bills targeting this particular group of Californians. Now, before I say anything else about how we got here, let me say really quickly what I mean when I say the word reparations. So I'm gonna say it, I said it about 5 times already, I'm gonna say it probably another 20 times. When I say the word reparations, I'm talking about physical, tangible direct economic, monetary compensation, payment for the work that our ancestors did without getting paid, period. That's what I'm talking about when I mean the word reparations. In 2019 and 2020, California created a reparations task force. Our organization, the Coalition for a Just and Equitable California, CJ, we actually helped write the bill that created that law. It was called Assembly Bill 3121, and we worked in 2019 and 2020 with then Assembly member, now Secretary of State, Dr. Shirley Weber, to help write the final version of that law. That law created a 9-member task force whose job it was to do 3 things in 2 years. So 3 things in 2 years. First thing this task force was asked to do was study reparations, investigate. Well, wait a minute. I thought there was no slavery in California. Right?
Nope.
Right? I thought there wasn't no slavery in California. Right? Wasn't this a free state? Wrong. Okay? There was slavery in California. I live in Sacramento. There was slavery in Sacramento County as late as the year 1864, a year or so after the Emancipation Proclamation. So a year after Abraham Lincoln says, everybody free, there was still slavery going on in Sacramento County. So, job number 1, study reparations. Job number 2, educate the public. And the task force did some of that work by going out and doing public hearings, asking organizations like ourselves to go out and do community hearings also. And then thirdly, make recommendations for reparations. What are we going to do? We talk a lot, but what do we do? And to that answer, the task force put out like 100 or so different recommendations. One of those was pay the people back whose money you took from their ancestors. Pay the people back. The other recommendation was who should be eligible for reparations. And of course, the task force said, not in these exact words, but those who would be eligible for reparations in California would be those Californians whose ancestors were enslaved and emancipated from chattel slavery in these United States. That makes sense. There were other recommendations also, and many of those recommendations are now making their way into bills at the state level, and this is how we are now in year 2 of having bills targeting this group of residents. So, that's where we are now. A little bit about how we got here. I'll talk to you about where we're going, okay? And this is where we get more real. I would unbutton my other button, but I'm already unbuttoned. So I just gotta be honest, we're not going in the right direction. Right? We're going in the wrong direction. And part of why I'm so excited about Sean's campaign is that I think Sean, when he's elected, can help us move some of this at the national level to help get California back on the right track where we need to be going. But we're not going in the right direction right now here in California. I'll talk quickly about 2 of the ways that we're not going in the right direction. There are 2 bills right now that we are very, very, very not happy with that are saying or supposed to be based on California's reparations task force work. The first bill is a bill to do, guess what?
Nothing.
Research.
Come on, there we go. Research, study, nothing. Study, research, all of that means nothing. There's another bill to do more studying. Okay? So after we did 2 years of studying, some of our senators and assembly people say, you know what we need more right now of is study. And then the second bill is a bill that in principle we do agree with. So every group that I know of that's got reparations has some kind of system, some kind of way for people to go and say, I think I'm eligible for reparations. Can you confirm? Can you check? Right? So there's a bill to create something like that. The problem is the bill's really, really bad. So it has some pieces missing that we need, and it has some things in it that we don't need. I'll just give you one example. Y'all, I don't even know how you're gonna react to this, and I'm gonna be quiet, so I'm gonna get the mic back to Ashley. So one of the bad problems about this bill is that it puts our reparations confirmation checking process through the California Department of Justice.
Oh, no, boy.
Which is the state's top law enforcement body. Okay? Now, there should not be no reparation system running through law enforcement, period. And I don't want my genealogy data, my claims process. What about the brothers and sisters who got felonies and got records? They're gonna be discouraged from even going with it. Right? Okay? So, In principle, yes, but hell no to that, okay? So, we're going in the wrong direction. Here's how you can help, okay? First thing you can do is help and support Sean, okay? All right? Help and support Sean. That's the first thing you can do. Second thing you can do is go to our website, www.cjec-official.org, sign up for our newsletter, sign up for our text message updates, and take action with us when we go to the Capitol. We're in the Capitol building almost every single day. Literally almost every single day we go into that Capitol building and we fighting for something. All right, so we need you there with us at hearings, etc. Okay, that's my time. I want to thank you again, Sean. Thank you. I want to give a shout out to Ashley, Sister Audra. Thank you as well. Much appreciated. And with that, I'll pass it back to you.
Hola everybody, my name is Gabriel Jesse Martin Medina Ruiz, but you could call me Gabe. Keep it short. And I am the first trustee elected as a Green Party member for Pajaro Valley Unified School District. We had a Trump Republican at that, y'all. Dude, that man was wild. But, so I'm the son of farm workers. I'm a Chicano. And I represent communities whose lives are shaped by borders, but defined by resistance. Immigration isn't just policy. Where I live, it's personal. It's the voice of elders speaking Mixteco in our clinics. It's the students translating their parents' words at school. It's the fear that rises when a white van slows down near your house, not knowing if it's delivering a package or taking somebody away. And this past week, that fear became real again. Rumors spread across our community. ICE agents were stationed in Monterey, planning raids in Salinas and Watsonville. People panicked, and some pulled their kids from school, others skipped work. And by 7 a.m., I was on San Juan Road with community members, no reporters, just the only elected official out there to protect not only those that were there to protect our community, but to protect those that were protecting our protectors, right? And we have to do that. And our ancestors have always taught us that we need to protect not only our community, but others, because what is done to others will eventually be done to us. So by that evening, also get this, by that evening, I had a school board meeting. And I sat in that meeting where we were asked to vote on expanding local police department into our schools, bringing more law enforcement into schools that really serve undocumented and indigenous youth for my community. And let me be clear, we cannot call ourselves a sanctuary district in the morning and vote to criminalize our students by night. We cannot separate the trauma of ICE raids from the trauma of school policing. It's the same uniform, the same fear, the same message. You don't belong here. And this is where I want to speak directly, not just as a trustee, but as a Chicano, and as someone who refuses to stay in my lane. What's happening in Palestine to our hermanos and our hermanas is also happening here. The checkpoints, the detentions, the surveillance, the disappearances, it's not a metaphor, what's going on, it's a mirror. Palestinian families are being bombed by the US-funded weapons. Children are being buried in rubble. And at the same time, here in Watsonville and other places, we're watching ICE vans pull up to homes, detain parents, and disappear green card holders with no warning and no due process, no humanity. These aren't isolated systems, they are deeply connected. Mahmoud Khalil, a Palestinian green card holder, was detained by ICE without cause. Luis Leon, an 82-year-old Guatemalan grandfather, was secretly deported while renewing his residency. A farm worker in Camarillo fell to his death during an ICE raid just this month. In Mesa Verde and Golden State Annex, detainees are held in for-profit prisons with no timeline, no justice, and no names. So let's name them for what they are. Concentration camps, built to strip people of dignity, funded to break spirits, and designed to disappear. And that's not just happening to them, it's happening to us. It's happening to our Muslim neighbors, to our Arab neighbors, to our Haitian, Dominican, Central American, and undocumented neighbors. And yes, it's happening in our communities too. This is why we must speak the words out loud. From Watsonville to Gaza, oppression looks the same. This country is not just funding genocide abroad, it is practicing displacement right here at home. We cannot be divided into our issues, into our neighborhoods, into our hashtags. Palestinian is not just a foreign policy debate, it is a moral line in the sand for many of us. That is why I'm proud to say that I endorse Sean Dougherty for Congress. And he's Irish. Us Mexicans love Irishmen. Sean doesn't walk the middle of the road while people are being hurt. He stands firmly on the side of justice. He supports a permanent ceasefire in Gaza. He believes in ending ISIS's unchecked power. He supports pathways to citizenship, not pathways to prison. And he knows that real school safety comes from trust, not militarization. Sean doesn't treat our communities as political liabilities. He treats us as people worth fighting for. So my fellow Chicanos, Mexicanos, Latinos, and everybody out there, this isn't just about immigration, it's about liberation. It's to our Muslim and Palestinian neighbors, we see you, we believe in you, y te amo también, and we will fight for you all. Our struggles are not the same, but they are bound together by a shared enemy, and that is state violence.
That's right. Yeah.
And we will not win until we rise together. Let us build a future rooted in dignity, not detention. A future rooted in solidarity, not silence. A future rooted in love for all people across all borders. Viva Palestina! Viva la gente y viva Justica! Gracias y vote for Sean!
Wow. You know, when you put on an event, or at least when I put on an event, all I can think about for the 2 weeks leading up to it is will anybody show up? Not kidding. You know? And so I'm thrilled to see all these people turning out, and I'll admit who made me cry. It was really touching to hear that my campaign last time meant so much to some people. Yeah, that really meant a lot. Thank you. And well, thanks to everybody that came to speak, and thanks to everybody that came to attend. I mean, as you know, this is a huge district. We have people from Monterey County. Chris came from Sacramento to speak today. Thank you, Chris. That was an incredible talk. And then I really want to thank you, Ashley. I mean, without Ashley, none of this could have happened. You know, the flyers, the booking, talking to the featured speakers. Yeah, so if it had all just been me, well, it just wouldn't have happened. Frankly, I mean, when I ran last time, our campaign maybe did a single event, and it was just a signature gathering event. And this is a huge district. And Jimmy Panetta has been in office for almost 10 years. He was elected in 2016, and he's never had a challenger that was serious enough to be able to knock doors against him, because the district's just too big. It takes so much resources. Well, that ends now with this campaign. Yeah, we're going to be doing it, y'all. Jimmy Panetta has never been this vulnerable. I know that for years when I've talked to my fellow progressive activists, they've been frustrated with him. They haven't felt that he had the right priorities. But what are you gonna do? You know, who's gonna challenge him? Who could possibly unseat Jimmy Panetta?
Sean.
All of us, we're gonna unseat the bucket.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, that's not how people talk about Jimmy Panetta anymore. Now what people say is, we need to get him out of office.
Yeah.
It's completely changed, night and day. And it is absolutely because of his support for the genocide in Gaza. And it is so easy to prove that he is following Israel's agenda You just have to go to fec.gov or opensecrets.org, and you can see that's his top donor. He doesn't listen to his constituents, he listens to his donors, and that's his top donor. And his constituents know about it. The pro-Palestine activists have known that for a couple of years now, and their friends are learning about it, and more people are learning from them. The word is spreading. Just when we had our Pride Parade in Santa Cruz, spontaneously a crowd broke out into anti-Panetta chants. It was an event that had nothing to do with Panetta, it had nothing to do with me, just people are furious at this man. I like to say, he doesn't belong on Capitol Hill, he belongs at The Hague, right? That's our stretch goal, all right? We're gonna get this man out of office. And I just want people to understand, it really is changing, it really is. Just a year ago, a local group that I've participated in that is actually organized around opposing Panetta, it was called Panetta Vigil, started holding events in the hallway outside of his Santa Cruz office. And we did a round of introductions, and one of the exercises we were sitting around in chairs, and I introduced myself, and then I started saying, we actually can't reason with this guy, he's bought, but I support these actions, I think we need to bring awareness to it. And there were multiple people in that circle of chairs who said, oh, that's so discouraging. I mean, he seems like a reasonable guy. He worked with us on that climate bill recently. You know, one of those people that said that to me a year ago went on to be a plaintiff on the Taxpayers Against Genocide class action lawsuit, which included Panetta as a defendant. So that's how far that activist came in just a year. I think probably everyone in this room is very excited about Mamdani's victory. It showed, I think Zoran Mamdani shows a way forward, a model that we can emulate here in this district. Knocking on doors, social media, people power. A lot of his volunteers came from DSA, so we work through, I'm not saying necessarily DSA, but we work through our various organizations, and we stitch together these coalitions. We can do the same thing that he did. He was outspent, what, 25-1? We need some money, we need to print brochures. That's the main thing I'm concerned about right now. This is a special district. This truly is a unique opportunity. We have a real opportunity for a revolution. This cycle, we can unseat Panetta, we really can. In this district, in 2024, my campaign got the highest vote percentage of any Green running for a national office throughout the whole country. This is the strongest Green district that we have. And I want to say, I don't think that's because of me. I consider myself a competent enough guy. It's because of people like Istafa and Nuha. I really think that, I mean, there are other organizations that helped as well, but I think in particular, US AMPAC and MAA, I mean, you really went to bat for me, and I really credit you for getting that 6.5%.
You deserve it.
And I want to comment on why I think it's important that I'm running as a Green. A lot of people don't understand it. They say, Sean, why don't you just run as a Democrat? It'd be so much easier for you to win. The reason why I think it's most important for me to run as a Green is that the people voting for me aren't just taking my word for it that I'm not taking dirty money. It's required by my party. That G next to my name on the ballot is a seal of approval. You know that I'm not taking super PAC money or money from corporations. And so you can trust that G means that I am going to listen to my constituents, not big donors. And it's also worth mentioning that Democrats are the least popular they've ever been. That's just a fact. Going back decades, we've never seen their approval rating so low. And guess what? It's even lower today than it was 6 months ago. They continue to slide because they're so incapable of fighting against Trump. So this is an opportune moment for a revolutionary campaign like this one. And I also want to say, even if we were to get just one Green into office, it could make a huge difference. My favorite example is Shama Sawan. She got elected to the city council in Seattle and single-handedly drove through huge policy wins, like a minimum wage that at the time was the highest in the country and continues to be the highest in the country because she tied it to inflation, so it kept automatically going up. She also got the so-called Amazon tax, which raised the funds to build housing. One person, none of the other people on that city council, who by the way were all Democrats, none of those people on the city council wanted those bills to pass, but she scared them into voting for it by mobilizing their constituents, putting the fear of God into them, like, you're gonna lose your seat if you don't do this. So it just takes one person, I think. We don't have democracy right now. Multiple studies have shown it objectively. What the constituents want doesn't affect the voting behavior of their representatives. In my opinion, the number one reason for this lack of democracy, for the lack of responsiveness from our elected representatives, is the campaign cash. That's not the only problem. It's not the only problem, but I see it as the biggest problem. It's not just at the federal level. I see it also at the local level. When I talk to activists about, well, why aren't some of these local leaders trying to stop the use of pesticides around schools that are giving the children brain cancer? They say, oh, well, they can't go up against big agriculture. Big agriculture is going to back their opponent, right? Outspend them, kick them out. So it's all throughout our country. But we can set a model, or we can follow the Mamdani model, apply it here, and inspire other people to do it at the, well, actually Gabe did it too.
Local level, yep.
Yeah. And Gabe did it also by knocking doors. That's worth mentioning. So Gabe unseated an incumbent Republican, as he said, a Trump Republican. And how did he do it? By going and knocking on doors. And he found that a lot of these people were relieved that he wasn't a Democrat or a Republican, right?
Yeah, they were really, that was an easy party.
Yeah, so I think actually some of these conservative areas are ripe for a Green victory. I mean, look, taking down Jimmy Panetta in terms of the substance is trivial. I mean, this guy is almost like cartoonishly villainous.
Yeah, he's a Nepo baby.
Yeah.
He is definitely a Nepo baby. Yeah, everybody knows he's got that job because of who his daddy is. We even had a speaker slip up and say his daddy's name on accident. That's how he got that job. Yeah. I mean, on the issue of Gaza, it's already been mentioned several times, but his top donor is the Israel lobby. One of the most shocking things to me that he's done is October 2024, so a year into the genocide, he flew to Israel, went to meet with Benjamin Netanyahu, stood next to him in his office and had a photo taken of himself.
That's what he does.
1 year into the genocide. He's proud of what he's doing, it seems. This campaign is going to be talking a lot about housing. I just want to mention Jimmy Panetta's solution for the housing crisis because I think it's so ridiculous and it shows where this man's head is. As you all know, nobody can afford a house here, or it's a real stretch to at least. His proposal is that if you lift the cap on the taxes that someone pays on profit when they sell a home up to $1 million, then that's going to free up housing supply. So that's his solution. It's like, won't anyone think of the tax bill for the people making $1 million in profit? That is not the kind of solution that we need in Congressional District 19. And I'm pretty sure the way he came up with that solution was going to dinner parties and talking to his friends. I'm pretty sure it was his donors telling him that we need tax breaks. Over the past 30 years, property values have gone up at 6.5%. Inflation has been like 2.5%. And consequently, everything's unaffordable. So we need to link it to housing because that's the biggest expense most people have in a month, right? So let's tie it to that. Or you could vote for Jimmy Panetta, get tax breaks for for millionaires. And of course, my campaign is also going to be talking about Medicare for all, free college, debt-free college, free child care, abolishing ICE, abolishing these detention centers. I really want us to focus on ending the use of pesticides, certainly next to schools. I think that's actually going to really resonate with a lot of people in Monterey County and southern Santa Cruz County. That's going to give us some real inroads in those communities. Moratorium on lithium-ion battery storage until we can better understand how to make that technology safe, and we need to explore other technologies. That's an issue that I think is going to resonate with people in Monterey County and southern Santa Cruz County particularly. We need volunteers to knock on doors, to make phone calls. That also is key to our success. We're ramping that up right now. It's going to cost us 10 cents per door in terms of the software that's going to coordinate all this. We don't know what our printing costs are going to be yet. We're kind of seeing how much we can raise before we design the brochure that we're going to be passing out. But if you go to our website, you can sign up to volunteer, and you can check that you're interested in door knocking, and Ashley or whoever becomes our volunteer coordinator will reach out to you. And as Ashley mentioned, we're going to be having regular, I think monthly, Zoom calls with our volunteers to make sure people feel connected to the campaign and know what they can do next. So that's really important. People need to be attending that. How y'all feeling?
Did I talk you up?